Hey everybody, I'm Ryan. Welcome back to the channel. I'm happy to be with you today. A big shout out to those of you who are new to the channel. We've had, a couple of hundred now new subs to the channel, which is a tiny little channel. So for that, I thank you. That's very kind of you. Thanks for stopping by. If you ever enjoy the content, feel free to leave a like in the video or a comment so I know, and it helps get the content out there for new people. But today, I'm excited because I'm going to be cracking open my own bottle of Larceny Barrel Proof. This I bottled myself. It says right there on the label, this is batch Y723. So this was a batch that was dumped on the 7th month of the current year. And this batch, I think, was like 10 barrels. So unless you're going to the distillery this weekend, chances are pretty good that you're not going to get any of this batch. So it's kind of cool. It's like a little exclusive thing. And, so this is like 6 to 8 year old juice. The Larceny product, if you're not familiar with Larceny, this is basically the Old Fitzgerald mash bill. It's the same juice, all right, but the Old Fitzgerald is older, obviously, for that line. This, 6 to 8 years, so it's not particularly young either. This is pretty good stuff. But this is 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malted barley. And mine comes in at 128.6 proof, so it's got some heat on it. In fact, I have to laugh because the Larceny product on the shelf doesn't look like this. Like the black label's kind of hard to see because the color on this is so dark and rich and caramely and bronzed. And, the stuff that you get just at the grocery store is a lot lighter in color. In fact, we were laughing after we bottled these. We held them up. We were at Heaven Hill at the distillery this past weekend. And I was holding it up next to the Larceny, just a standard offering next to it, and this was like night and day. They literally looked like night, and the other bottle looked like daytime. It's kind of funny. So it's got some good depth to it. So I did the whole You Do Bourbon experience there with some buddies this weekend. So we got to try, their limited series that was offered then, and it was like it was a malt whiskey. It was like 51% malted barley. It was pretty good, but it wasn't really my thing at the time. But then we tried the barrel proof, the Bernheim, and then the Larceny, and then the Elijah Craig. Now, I've had so much Elijah Craig this year. Like, I'm a big fan of the Elijah Craig lineup. I love hunting down the barrel proof batches. I've had a number of store picks and private select bottles as well, and even the 18-year, which I recently reviewed. And so I've got a lot of Elijah Craig on my shelf. So I was like, I'm going to bottle the Larceny because I don't have any Larceny on my shelf. I don't dislike Larceny, but it's not been one of the things I generally go for. But to have my own bottle that I bottled myself, that's pretty cool. And I thought that day, at least, it was hitting on all the right notes. So we're going to crack it open and break the tack seal right now. And I'll let you know the tasting notes on my bottle and let you know if you should check this out sometime. You can go to Heaven Hill, bottle your own if you want to. All right. Let's do it. Mine filled up all the way to the top. They're like, just hold the lever down all the way, and everyone else is just filled right nicely just to the bottom of the neck. Mine actually overflowed, and I had to like wipe down the outside of the bottle first, but I got a little extra in the neck because of it. So I got a very generous pour. All right, look at that color. It's so dark. And my wheaters, generally speaking, a lot of the wheaters, in my opinion, they tend to have a much less viscous mouthfeel. And I'm a big fan of like a big, thick, and chewy whiskey. And hopefully the higher proof on this will help give us a little bit of that thickness. And just rolling it around in the glass, it does leave a thin film, but it's not those big, thick drips and runs that you often get with a good bourbon. But I think it's because it's the high wheat content. But you get a lot of these small drips just around the rim of the glass. You can see those. I think the camera's picking up some of those. It's kind of hard for it to focus on them. But it's just smaller drips around the edge there. So it's kind of probably in the middle in terms of viscosity. On the nose, I get a burst of like orange citrus circus peanut candies. Remember those circus peanut candies? They're kind of like orange in color. Get that on the nose. And a little bit of like a clean mint as well. Not like a harsh wintergreen or anything like that. More like just a soft, delicate spearmint kind of a vibe. Let's try it. Yeah, it comes in with a lot of like that clean spice and pepper. And you can feel that tannic spice, down your cheeks and down even right next to your gums. That sweet circus peanut candy comes sort of the tail end of the palate, transitioning into the finish. The finish is a lot of like those mint vibes that we were getting on the nose. That's how the finish kind of hangs out. ties it in with a little bit of like sweet oak in there too. Let's go back for sip number 2. Sip number 2 softens it up a little bit, but it is high in proof. Up front, I'm getting that sort of citrus and spice. Like I said, tail end of the palate. Those circus peanut candies, there's probably more of the corn in the mash there coming through. And that finish really is a lot of oak and a lot of spice. But gentle spice, not harsh spice. It doesn't like assault your palate or anything. Yeah, I like that. But like I said, I'm not a huge Larceny guy. In fact, for me, a lot of wheaters, they really have to pull through if they're going to impress me. You know, it's funny. I'm thinking overall, I prefer Rebel from Lux Row to this. And that's interesting because up until last year, the Rebel lineup was this. It was Heaven Hill's distilled wheated bourbon. It was literally the same mash bill. It's just, they'd contracted it out. But this year, 2023, Lux Row has been putting their own juice in the Rebel lineup. And I actually thought it was fantastic. I really liked it. And so I actually think I prefer the Rebel barrel picks from this year that I've tasted were so good. I think I prefer it to this. But this is still pretty good. And I think that you would be well suited to have at least a bottle of Larceny Barrel Proof on your shelf at some time. But I would read the reviews and see if the batch that you're getting is, going to hit the right notes for you personally. For my personal palate, I think this is good, and I'm glad I have it. It's really cool to bottle it. But I don't know. I think all in all, from Heaven Hill, the Larceny line is not like my favorite. For me, it's probably the Elijah Craig series. And they haven't even owned them in the grand scheme of things. Well, they've owned them for a while now. I suppose it was 1999. I just think, I think of that year and I'm like, oh, that can't have been too long ago because, I'm a product of the 80s. So I'm like, oh, I remember 1999. It can't have been that long ago. And then I'm reminded that I'm old. So it was actually a fair 24 years ago that they acquired, that old Fitzgerald brand. So yeah, there you go. Larceny Barrel Proof. Bottled it myself. Batch Y. If you ever get out there to Heaven Hill, you should try out the You Do Bourbon, program. Bottle your own stuff. And, you'll get to taste all of them ahead of time so you know which one you like the most that day. And that's when you get to bottle. Hey, thank you Patreon supporters so much for your support, for funding this channel. If you want to get involved with the Patreon, feel free to check the link in the description. We also have a link to our Discord there where you can join, hang out, talk bourbon with us. Cheers. May you live richly and get better with age. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.